You know, in the world of maritime operations, safety isn't just a priority. It's pretty much your license to operate. Today, we're going to take a look at how one company, Louis Marine, has spent 4 decades building a legacy on one simple promise: keeping fleets compliant and, most importantly, keeping crews safe. So, let's dive right in.
So let me just start with a question. Is your fleet truly audit ready? I mean, that's the one thing that can keep a fleet superintendent tossing and turning at night. In an industry that's all about strict audits, being ready isn't just a nice goal. It's the difference between smooth sailing and incredibly costly downtime. And let's be honest, the maritime rulebook, with bodies like the IMO and SOLAS, it's a complex web. It's a jungle out there. For operators, this creates a super high-stakes game where one tiny compliance gap isn't just a paperwork problem. No way. It can mean your vessel gets detained in port, which leads to crippling delays and, worst of all, puts actual lives at risk.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll start with that big compliance challenge. Then we'll look at a legacy of trust built over 43 years. After that, we'll dive into the complete equipment arsenal they offer, see how they go beyond just supplying gear with their life cycle service, and wrap up with what it really means to be a reliable partner in this field.
So first up, a legacy of trust. The story of Louis Marine really starts with its deep roots in one of the busiest maritime hubs on the planet. And in a place like that, experience isn't something you just learn. It's forged, day in and day out, for decades.
43 years. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That's so much more than a number. That's a serious track record. You simply don't survive for 4 decades in this industry without constantly adapting, innovating, and delivering solutions that actually protect assets and empower crews.
And that kind of longevity? Well, that's how you build real, genuine trust across the entire industry. You can see it in who they work with, too, from massive commercial fleets and huge offshore platforms to those highly specialized super yachts. All right, so they've got the history, but what about the actual hardware? Let's get into the core of their offerings, the complete equipment arsenal, because the real question is, what does it take to equip a modern fleet for safety? Well, Louis Marine's whole philosophy is to be that single source for everything you could possibly need. And you can see the strategy here pretty clearly, right? It's all about providing total coverage to make sure there are absolutely zero gaps in readiness. When it comes to survival and rescue, it means you have one point of contact for a vessel's entire life-saving setup, from the life raft itself all the way down to the defibrillator.
Then you've got fire safety, which, let's face it, is a whole different beast at sea. It's about so much more than just a few fire extinguishers. What you see here is a focus on the entire firefighting ecosystem, from the individual fireman's suit to the massive, large-scale fixed systems that use those huge CO2 cylinders.
And this is where things get really specialized. These are not your standard off-the-shelf items. We're talking about custom-built kits designed for the absolute worst-case scenarios, things like oil spills or chemical incidents. For an operator, having these kits on board is about being prepared for absolutely any contingency. It directly cuts down your liability and, of course, enhances the safety of your crew. So, supplying the equipment is really just the beginning. The real challenge, as anyone in this business knows, is maintaining it. And that brings us to a critical part of the whole equation: their full life cycle service.
I like to think of this as a compliance loop. It's the key to strategic risk management. For a vessel operator, this closed loop is huge. It means from the moment an asset is installed, its entire service life and recertification schedule is managed for you, ensuring it's always ready for any flag, class, or port state inspection.
And this table here shows you what that loop looks like in practice. These aren't just arbitrary dates they've pulled out of a hat. These are IACS-approved service cycles. Sticking to strict international protocols like these is what ultimately guarantees that seamless audit readiness. It turns compliance from a massive headache into a predictable, manageable process.
So we've seen the equipment and we've seen the service, but in the maritime world, talk is cheap. Trust is earned through verification. So let's take a look at the proof, at the reliability. It really starts right here with ISO 9001-2015 certification. Now, this isn't just a fancy logo. It's a testament to a rock-solid quality management system. It's one that's focused on managing the life cycle of assets, minimizing downtime, and delivering that all-important compliance assurance.
But beyond their own internal quality systems, their services are also recognized and approved by the real gatekeepers of global maritime standards.
And here they are, approvals from the major IACS members, the big players like ABS and Lloyd's Register.
Plus DNV and Bureau Veritas. For any vessel operator, seeing these logos isn't just a bunch of endorsements. This is the universal language of quality and global compliance. It means you're good to go.
This quote really seems to be the philosophy driving everything we've just seen. The goal isn't just to be another supplier, it's to be a real, long-term partner who's focused on building operational resilience, which is so much more than just checking off boxes on a compliance sheet.
So the key takeaway here is this. In a world of incredibly complex regulations, true maritime safety isn't about the equipment you have, but the system and the partner you trust to manage it. This really raises a crucial question for every operator out there. Is your safety strategy just about acquiring assets, or is it about ensuring their readiness for the long haul? To see how Louise Marine approaches that challenge, you can explore all their solutions on their website.